afternoon. I hope you're all having a good time so far, and that everyone is looking forward to what I'm sure will be a very memorable evening. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Freddie. For those of you that I will undoubtedly meet in the bar later, please use my full name, which is Freddie, would you like a drink?
No change there then.
I'd like to start by thanking Mark on Nikki's behalf for his kind words, and by agreeing with him that she looks stunning and has done a great job today in making sure that Keri is calm, composed and just drunk enough to actually go through with marrying her. As for Keri, I'm sure you'll all agree with me that she looks absolutely fabulous, and that together she and Mark make an absolutely wonderful couple.
Hey.
As for me, I'm grateful for just one thing really, and that is that as it's traditionally part of the best man's duties to cop off with a bridesmaid, and as Nikki's my fiancée, Mark and Keri have at least made that part of my job as straightforward as possible. I say that because being a best man is pretty daunting, and by far the most daunting part of being a best man is standing up in front of a lot of people and making a speech. I've been told that the best way to deal with the nerves is to imagine your audience naked. However, looking at you lot, I think I'll give it a miss, on the grounds that it's probably better to be nervous than nauseous. I'd just like to warn you, probably to Mark's great relief, that unlike most best man speeches, I'm not going to include a lot of stories designed to embarrass the groom and get a cheap laugh. And I'm not going to go down that road for two very good reasons. Firstly, because Mark's such a great bloke that I wouldn't want to do it to him. But secondly, and more importantly, he's going to be my best man next year. And I'm hoping that he's going to remember this when it comes time for him to write his speech. I've had the pleasure of knowing Mark for about 16 years now. We met when we both worked for Snow's Business Forms in Millbrook, and our friendship was cemented one evening over a quick post-work drink in the Salisbury Arms in Shirley, where we both lived at the time. Shirley, that is, not the Salisbury Arms. The fact that this quick drink lasted until nigh on closing time really set the tone for the next 16 years, during which time we lived together twice. Once in Totton, where we spent many evenings in the Swan and completely failed to introduce the sport of outdoor snooker to a wider audience. And secondly, a few years later in Southampton's Old Town, where we spent many evenings in the Platform Tavern, decided that indoor snooker was a much better game anyway, and of course Mark met Keri. Although they had their ups and downs, as most couples will, it soon became clear to all who knew them that they were made for each other, as Keri had the good looks, personality and style to make up for Mark's ugliness, dullness, tendency to dress solely in blue. Eventually, of course, they decided to move in together, and that was, for me, a truly bittersweet moment, as it signified the next stage in their blossoming relationship, but also meant that Mark took his Xbox and collection of erotic playing cards with him. Soon,
He's giving you the Xbox back.
true. I'm still waiting for the playing cards. Soon afterwards, Mark booked a surprise weekend break, and it was during this romantic getaway that he proposed to Keri, and she obviously said yes. I don't know what else happened that weekend, but I have heard some strange reports from Cornwall of flocks of sheep that are utterly terrified of anything made of studded leather. Probably no connection, but I don't know. Obviously, before any wedding could take place, there had to be a stag and a hen do. One of the activities that Nikki lined up for the hen do was a Mr. and Mrs. style game where the groom answers a load of questions and the bride then has to match the answers. Unfortunately, I have a selection of the questions here. Number 1. If Mark could choose to be any famous person, who would he pick? Mark's answer was a straight version of Derren Brown. Well, mate, somehow you've managed to convince her to marry you, so you're halfway there. Number 2, what is your favourite non-sexual part of Keri's body? He really had to think outside the box for that one. Number 3. I'm not telling you. Number 3, where did you first kiss? Mate, I don't think the answer they were looking for there was a part of her body. And number 4, what does Mark think is Keri's most irritating habit? We won't go into too much detail there, but some people pay really good money for a number 14. The stag do, as most of you will know, took place on a narrowboat on the Kent and Avon Canal, and Mark thoroughly enjoyed driving the boat. He'd hardly let anybody else have a go. I suspect that this was probably because, as a soon-to-be married man, it was pretty much his last opportunity to manoeuvre something thin and pointy into an enclosed space. And that, finally, brings us to today. And I'm sure that you'll all join with me in wishing Mark and Keri all the very best for a very long and a very happy marriage, filled with all the good things that they both so richly deserve. For me, it's a particularly good day, as it means that my best friend is virtually my brother, and that's pretty cool.
Aww.
I have got, as is traditional, just a couple of words of advice for them both. Keri, treat him like you treat a car. And I don't mean fill him with shit and drive him too hard. I mean, with a little love, attention, and regular servicing, he'll last you a lifetime. And Mark, the next time you're trying to, how should I put this, postpone the moment and prolong your intimacy, just think of pasta twirls. That should do the trick. That's very nearly all from me. But just before the toasts, I've got a little surprise for you both. So, ladies and gentlemen, and with the aid of my accompanist, Mr. Jeremy Fiddimore, I give you for the first and probably only time ever, the Ballad of Keri and Mark. Oh, and those of you I gave envelopes to earlier, now is a good time to open them. In fact, now is the only time to open them.
That's some words.
This is the ballad of Keri and Mark. On their new life together, today they embark. We've all gathered round them to wish them the best, and I'm keeping this clean at the parents' request. Keri and Mark, Keri and Mark. On their new life together, today they embark. They're so happy to be here, they've planned this so long, that I decided to spoil it by singing this song. They met in a tavern in Southampton town, and the room was soon spinning around and around. They started a dating, they were both quite keen, and soon the wagons were rocking, if you know what I mean. Keri and Mark, Keri and Mark, on the new life together, today they embark. They're so happy to be here, they've planned this so long, that I decided to spoil it by singing this song. They moved in together out west in Totton, and the house they did fill it with laughter and fun. Mark keeps it tidy, Keri makes a mess. I'm surprised he hasn't killed her, I have to confess. Keri and Mark, on the new life together today they embark. They're so happy to be here, they've planned this so long that I decided to spoil it by singing this song. And now they... Oh shit, no, that's wrong. Talk amongst yourselves for something. There we go. They went down to Cornwall to a cottage near Bude. I don't know what they did there, but I bet it was rude. Mark had a plan, he went down on one knee, and this is how we come here to this ceremony. Keri and Mark, on the new life together today they embark. They're so happy to be here, they've planned this so long that I decided to spoil it by singing this song. And now they are married, their new life ahead, and soon they will make for their honeymoon bed. Mark's ready to rattle the windows and doors, but the reason he'll get no sleep in is because Keri snores. Keri and Mark, on the new life together today they embark. They're so happy to be here, they've planned this so long that I decided to spoil it by singing this song. Now we look to the future, to the years that will come. Soon my very best mates will be under the thumb. There'll be no more drinking, no more nights on the piss. Ah, who am I kidding? She's worse than he is. Keri and Mark, on a new life together today they embark. They're so happy to be here, they've planned this so long that I decided to spoil it by singing this song. Now that's the end of my ditty, the end of my song. There's just one chorus left now, so all sing along. I've kept it quite simple, so you'd all get the gist. And you should know all the words now, unless you're all pissed. Keri and Mark, on the new life together today they embark. They're so happy to be here, they planned this so long that I decided to spoil it by singing this song. Thank Christ that's over. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please be upstanding and raise your glasses to our bride and groom, Mr. and Mrs. Mark and Keri Westmoreland.
Do you feel a little bit unchained?